The tool that we are going to use to build the interactive project is Eko Studio. Eko Studio allows us to build interactive video experiences. So we will create a series of short videos or nodes and connect them together, allowing the user to click on different nodes and determine the playback order of the videos, which will then craft a unique and different experience each time the user plays with your project. So Eko Studio, when we start out, we'll click on Start Creating. But one important note is you need to be using Google Chrome, not Apple Safari or Firefox, because neither of those work properly with the authoring tool in Eko Studio. All of them can play back just fine, but the authoring tool still requires the use of Adobe Flash, and that plugin will now only function correctly inside of Google Chrome. So it's critical that you use Google Chrome to work on your project. So now from the page, we don't want that. Took too long and it went away. So I want to be at studio.eko.com and then click on Start Creating. Once I do that, it gives me an option to sign up or sign in. I have already used it prior, so I will choose Log In. So I have my credentials, I log in. That brings me into the project window where I can choose my projects. So after this point, I will click on Start a New Project. That allows me to now make a new project that I can use to craft my experience. And as we do this, what we're going to be doing is building what is in many ways like a choose your own adventure kind of project. So I'll give my project a name and I'll click Start. And now the next thing I'm doing is waiting for the authoring tool to load. So I have enabled Adobe Flash to run on this site. You will need to modify your Chrome preferences to do so. And again, very critical, it does not work in Apple Safari because they have completely disabled the Flash plugin from working inside of it. So now when the project comes up, we can see we'll have a loading screen where you can provide artwork for that, usually a static image file. And then each one of these rounded rectangles is a node. Each node, we will then put video onto it. Now, if I look at the beginning node here, and I will go up to the top and we'll see where it says Edit Node, I can click on that. And shows me it's waiting for a video to be there, and we'll see that we have two buttons. Each one of these buttons is something the user can click on, and if I click on 2B, we see how it highlights that path, and it's going to follow that path, and then it will then play the 2B button. Now we have some other options as we see over here in the edit window that we can choose, such as to play that video when the current node finishes, or we can immediately jump to that next node with click as an option. So we have different ways that we can go about working with this. But to better experience this, what we do need to do is we need to bring some assets in to our project to make it usable. So to do that, we see the instructions say drop files here, or I can click and choose upload. And in the upload window, I have a series of videos that I wish to bring into this project. So I am going to shift click to select the entire list of videos, and then I will click open. Now be warned that this upload process can take a considerable amount of time. So once I click upload, we will see that these videos are uploading, and it also tells me videos need to be longer than 2 seconds and shorter than 30 minutes. So that is a point to keep in mind when you are creating your own content for your project. Now that my videos have completed their upload, we can take a look and see what these videos are. So if I look up in the top corner, I will see that this video here says choose a companion, So it plays that out. If I were to go here, we will see that now I have a video. Night is animating. So we have a number of different videos. We have a night animation, a ninja, a robot. We have weapons that we can choose. So a lot of different video files. It's a little bit slow on the preview here. So when I look through these videos, I'll see here I have an alien animation. Background is just a straight empty background, so if I need a background that I can put in, I have my doors, the dragon, a gun. We have the knight, the ninja, the robot, sword, and then we all have questions that we're asking. So these will be the video nodes, like text companion, that I would choose that node and then provide options. So I could choose a companion to go with me. My companion can dispatch the enemy. We can see what happens. See, now we get what happens when we die. Which door do we want to choose? Our opening statement or opening node, and then other options. So we can see we're going to be able to play with these options to figure out a way to build an animation into our project. So when we're building the nodes, we have a couple of different ways that we can do it. With a node, I can choose the video that I want to play there, but I can also drag out a node from that, and we can see how it puts that node into our line. Now, if I don't want those nodes, I can even delete those nodes, and now I can connect from our opening screen. I can now connect to the unicorn node, and then at that point I'm going to drag out another node. This one is going to automatically connect to it. So now when I go back to the unicorn node, I can see that there is no, if we go into the node will play. So the unicorn comes in, and then it will disappear, and then the next part is I'm going to go into this next node while we help our unicorn. And with this, I want to then provide two options or two nodes here, and the nodes that I will provide, one will be, we're asking a question, will you help our unicorn? So our two options will be yes or no. Now, when I look through these options, so with the options of yes or no, this will be the option that we see if we choose not to help the unicorn. But if we choose to help the unicorn, the next thing that we need to do is we're going to then choose a weapon. So that means I get to then choose a weapon. After I choose a weapon, I can choose a companion, and then we'll have different encounters along the way. And it's going to be up to you as to how to string all of this together. So with this, if I choose the text dead as my option, I can drag that out. So that will be my lose option. And if I choose to help, then I'm going to choose companion. When I choose companion, it gives me an option of choose companion, and then we will string the parts of that together. So I will drag out that node as well. So I have the two nodes. So think of this as much like building a flowchart, so that if I put this over here, if I drag this over to here, so we've now connected two nodes and we can see the nodes are there. So text dead, I'm going to go into this and I want to modify what that says, and instead of that I will say no, and here I will say yes. Now one thing is that I could have created these buttons, attached the video nodes, and they would be there. So I can take these nodes and modify them, transform them, so we can see each of these nodes. Like this node has width of 146, this node has a width of 232. If I want to make them the same, I can manually, forgot to undo the proportional part on it. So this node, I want it to be 146, and that chain means it keeps it proportional. Now I go to no, it's at 46, so I'll go and now modify this one to 46 as well. So it should. There. So now they are the same size. And now I can position these where I want them to be on screen. Now what this timer is this timer shows on screen so that when the node is playing, it will then start a countdown for the player to choose it. So we'll see how the nodes come up, 3, 2, 1, and then the node is done. So it shows us how long we have to be on screen. Another thing that I'm going to modify on this is we can wait for the node to finish playing. And this gray bar here means we have, during the solid bar, that's when we can make our choice. The gray is now when we can no longer make a choice and we just have to live with it. But if I click on no here and go under actions, we have an option to make it go on click. If I click on yes, I can now also click on quick. Or click. So those are two options, so we don't have to wait for the node to finish playing. What I also want to do is to set it up, and if I don't care about showing that timer, I can take the timer here, click the trash, it goes away. But these nodes, if I look at the star, it says include in auto selection, on or off. So I want to deselect that under yes, and then if I have no as an auto selection, that means what it's going to do is if I fail to click on a button, it's going to then default to that node. We can also set it up that if we have more than 2 nodes, we could have 3, 4, 5 different nodes, and if we have a bunch of nodes, if we put stars next to all of them and the user does not select, it will randomly choose one of those nodes. If we only have a star next to one node, then if the user fails to click a button while the video times out on the node by playing to completion, it will automatically choose that next node. Now if I go to the unicorn node here and we look at its elements, we'll notice that it's automatically going to text help. That is what is next. The timer, we don't need a timer on this one because we're just playing out that animation. And then we can see that unicorn goes to text help, text help. If we fail to choose, goes to dead. If we say yes, then it goes to will you choose a companion. Now when I go to companion, I can connect in different options for what I want. Or if I didn't choose a companion, I could say choose a weapon. But if I choose under a companion that maybe I want to make my options, I can choose a ninja to come with me, or I could choose a robot. Now, what I can do is connect these. And now, when we go into the companion, we see there are the two options, and I'm just going to position them up a little bit differently, and we can see that it can randomly choose either one because they both have a star next to them. So now if I choose the ninja, then it will play the ninja animation, and then we can decide what's going to happen next. So with the ninja, I am going to then drag out two possible scenarios, and we're going to have a dragon or a zombie. So with the ninja, it's going to then go to either the dragon or the zombie. We don't know which one, so we're creating an encounter here. And this is where it gets to be interesting. Now with the robot, I am going to also drag out the dragon and the zombies. So what you're going to see here is how we're able to set up an encounter, and then we will figure out what the results for that are going to be. So now if I go into the ninja node, I don't want to see the timer, and both the zombie and dragon are selected. So I am going to hide them, but it's going to be able to randomly choose one of those two options. Now, when it does that, I am going to, if I choose the ninja is going to be able to beat the zombie. So I'm going to connect those. But if I choose the ninja and we go up against the dragon, that is going to bring me to a horrible death. I'm going to reverse that option so that if I choose the robot is going to then have a horrible death versus the zombie, but the robot will be successful against the dragon. So we're setting up a way that we can win through this. And now, if I have had a horrible death, now our project is ended, and it will automatically default to the next screen. Now I'm going to look at weapon here. So if I choose a weapon, so it comes up and it will, the message under that is going to be choose your weapon. And our weapons that we can choose a gun or a sword. So if I win by choosing a good companion, then both of those will lead to choosing a weapon. So if I look at this option here, we'll notice how those items are not displayed because there's only one choice, so there's no reason to have visibility turned on for that. So when I choose a weapon, then the weapons that I will have, I can choose a gun or a sword. So now I will connect both of those to choose a weapon. And if I go into that, if I don't choose an option, what I want to do is add one more option onto this. And I should do this under choose a companion as well. And so under choosing a companion, there should be one more option, which is if I fail to choose a companion in time, we really should have it lead us to, and notice I'm able to, now that my flowchart's getting bigger, I can move through this flowchart by clicking on the hand tool. Now I can go and connect horrible death. So let's go back here and we'll see horrible. Well, we don't want to see that. and we will make that be the default. So if I fail to choose a companion, if I don't choose the robot or choose the ninja and this screen times out, I die a horrible death. Now, after I choose my companions, I can win or lose. And go through that. And now when I choose a weapon, if I fail to choose a weapon, then we're going to add in that third option that we will turn into the default option. And that option, as we look at it, again, we won't want to see it, so we will turn it off and we'll make that the default. So if I fail to choose a weapon, the game is over. So you can see how we're building up this experience with options. So we're creating a version of a flowchart. Now, to play this through, let's memorize the options here. If I don't help, I die. If I help, I get to choose a companion. If I fail to choose it, I die. And then we can work our way through. So now if I hit preview, let's see how this works. So now the preview is going to come up inside this little phone simulator. And if we want to accurately preview this, we should go through and do a proper publish. A word about doing that is when we publish it. So let's say no. No help, the unicorn is dead. And now the project ended. But I can try it again. So publishing can take a while, so it's important that we don't wait until the very end. Now if I don't choose a companion, see? All right, I'm a horrible person. Okay. And yes, let's choose the ninja. Oh, here's our ninja. And we're fighting the zombie. And the ninja beat the zombie. Excellent. Now we get to choose our weapon. And we failed. So as we're working our way through those, so maybe horrible isn't the node we want to choose there. We might want to choose a different option. So maybe put horrible if we don't help the unicorn, and then put dead for all of the failed options. But again, it's your project. You'll get to choose how you want to do things. Now, you can see how we're able to build out this flowchart using the different pieces that we have here, and we can control how they display on screen. You'll also notice as we're working through some of these slides that as you make a choice, the choice may still show up on screen as we move in to the next screen, especially or if we don't make a choice. So if we go back to even the very beginning, if we pull this back, so now if I play through this, we'll see those options disappear before the screen goes away. So now changing that is going to have an effect on what happens if we fail to make choices. When we do clicks, it behaves a little bit differently as we work our way through. So once again, we'll click on preview, and reminding you that when it comes time to publish it, if your project gets really complex, it will sometimes take a considerable length of time to complete the publishing process. So the unicorn comes in, goes out, and say no. So now let's just let it time out, because those buttons were set to click. So the button disappears if we click. If we let it time out, then we will sometimes see the button as we roll into the next slide. If you choose to build your own artwork, videos, or animations, I encourage you to have your clips be longer than 4 or 5 seconds, because that will allow for easier transition between screens, even building in 1 or 2 second fade in and fade out on your own clips. That's going to give you a better experience unless you're doing seamless video. So if you need the video to go from slide to slide, then you can do straight cuts, but making things longer allows for a better flow of buttons showing and hiding. Because this is an example project, the clips were kept short to make the project easier to work with, and because of that, it's a little bit more challenging to control the exact timing of the buttons showing and hiding themselves on screen. Now, this particular project has a few sound effects built into the clips, but for the most part, there's not a lot of audio. If you were to add audio to the project, you could add in a background soundtrack, so you can upload a music file that would be part of the background if you feel that will improve or enhance your project. After you have strung your nodes together and created your project in the order and sequence that you need it to be, the final step you are going to choose is to publish your project. So we can go to Publish Manager, and we will see how you can just simply hit Publish Project. And then if you notice, it says it could take a few hours to complete. So as you're doing it, make sure you've previewed your whole project before you publish. It's not a bad idea that at the end of a long work session that you publish as you're leaving and just let it run in the background so you get a fresh copy of whatever changes you've made, because then you can discover if there are errors. But this is not something that you can publish and it's ready in minutes. It usually does take a considerable amount of time. So with that, we'll hit publish, and we'll see now how it's publishing itself. And in the meantime, we just need to wait the process out.